All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for today's Thirsty Thursday on activating your membership and building business value from day one. I am Sarah Neiswanger, the Director of Membership with the NGA, and I'm joined by Melanie Detmer, the Content Development Manager as well. And so we thank you for joining us for today's webinar. As we get started, let's take a quick look at um, one of the upcoming events the NGA is hosting, a brand new event, the NGA Glass Fabricator Conference. It's happening June 14th to the 17th. We're very excited about meeting in Chicago for this. We are attempting, if you've heard of NGA's BEC conference, the Building Envelope Contractors Conference, we're hoping to create this into the BEC for fabricators. So this is a combination of NGA's two previous events built for fabricators, the NGA Glass Conference, which was more of a technical meeting, alongside GPAD Glass Processing Automation Days, which was focused on, the integration of machinery and software into the fabrication plant. So um, we'll be talking executive level strategies. We'll have the technical track again. We'll have a new special workshop track that will allow plant personnel to actually be on the plant floor at Skyline Architectural Glass, moving along the processes of a tempering line. And then we'll have some fun things. The fun run that was um, uh, kind of, I think we're in maybe the 10th year of it for the Glass Conference. That will come back. A architectural boat tour, other receptions as well. So this should be a great few days in Chicago. We hope you will visit glass.org/GFAB to check it out and decide who from your team should be there. So again, the point of today's webinar is talking about the membership journey. Membership shouldn't just be a checkbox or a budget line item. It's a lever to move your business forward. So how do we take that from transaction to actually giving you some traction? So we'll talk about literally the mindset shift that comes with that. We'll talk about some of the members' advantages by being a member, credibility and advocacy, and hopefully return on the value that it brings you, and of course, some action steps for you as we wrap up. But again, remember, NGA is a nonprofit trade association that exists purely because of its members and to serve its members. So know that you as a member are at the forefront of our thoughts and our actions. But NGA is not intended to be, nor can it be a one-size-fits-all organization. So, we attempt to foresee and respond to member needs the best we can in order to equip you with different tools. But given that spring is upon us and everything is blooming and allergies are on high right now, but hopefully you'll appreciate the analogy that NGA is a garden. NGA's goal is to give you the right conditions to thrive. So let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and Sarah, I've been on both sides of this as a member, company employee. I used NGA resources to solve real problems, code questions, training gaps, finding the right people and the right information. And now working inside of NGA, I see how the garden works from the other direction. We're not pushing a one-size-fits-all program. We're trying to create conditions where a contract glazer in Minnesota or a fabricator in Texas can both find what they need. And those are two very different plants.
Mhm. Absolutely. Um, so coming into this strategic advantage, Mel, keep going.
Right. So here's what I believe about membership. It's not the card or the door decal. It's the environment. When you cultivate it, and that word matters, cultivate, professional and personal can't help but intersect. You start with shared experience in the trade. You grow it by sharing it back. And somewhere in there, it becomes community, real community. The kind that outlasts a project, outlasts your zip code, outlasts whatever season you're in. And to quote James Young, founder of the product community, and he put it better than I can, he called it a lifelong career, relationship grounded in community, expertise, and shared professional identity. And that's what we're here to talk about activating today.
Yeah. So again, at NGA, we're seeking to build a dynamic where each member is both a beneficiary and a source of value. So the new way of thinking about membership, let's examine that older mindset. It's a nice to have, but it may be the first to be cut from the budget, or it's harder to justify. It's meant for just networking receptions and those kinds of things. But I I couldn't help but draw a relationship to the nice to have, first to get cut concept because it resonates a lot with what you in the glass industry experience probably fairly regularly when it comes to glass being specified in a building. What is nice to have, what is wanted in design versus what actually gets put in, and therefore what gets cut out at the end of the day. So, to put it in terms that we can relate to, we want to do what we can to make sure membership is not only valued, but does not get value engineered out at the end of the day from your company.
Yeah, yeah. So, and to focus on the potential, like a tool that can become an extension of your team, a platform to accelerate training, and an opportunity to generate more revenue through a growing community. So in a couple of slides here, we're gonna pause and see if you all have any questions. So at that time, feel free to drop your thoughts into the chat or raise your hand and we'll gladly unmute you.
Mhm.
So zooming out to, oh, pardon me, zooming out to look at some of the quick NGA stats. As an NGA member, you're one of over 1,900 companies, and not to mention the thousands of individuals within those companies who have chosen to be part of this community. Your membership dues help fund an entire industry infrastructure that is still evolving to meet needs as our world changes.
And so, talking about some of the pillars of NGA value, these are on NGA's website in our resource hub. It's kind of how we also experience what we think of as the member journey. So, whether you're just joining or you're thinking about joining, getting informed is the first step. And a lot of members may only tap into these first two pillars. Um, but opportunity lies in all three, in particular that third one. So get connected. It's an easy way to get informed is the method of downloading all of your free resources. You're a member, take advantage of finding those items that are at your fingertips. Go to myglassclass.com, pour into those courses that are available to you for free, browse the NGA store and search by topic category and download all of those things for free and make sure that you're sharing those within your company. Get on our magazine distribution lists and be sure to check out our different podcasts and blogs and on-demand webinars similar to these, but from the past. And then get connected. It's an easy way to dip your toes in if you have an affiliated chapter nearby. Um, those aren't necessarily NGA administered chapters, but it's a great community that overlaps. And then task groups, it's a great way to form the great connections in a small group of people, that are coming together around a topic that interests them. So that is a great place that actually relationships begin and then continue to grow and bud as new tasks or projects come out, or as you eventually find yourselves at meetings together. And then even speaking of meetings, the ones on this list, for example, even at Glass Build last year, we had several examples of folks coming up who had been there for the first time. We encourage you to invest in going to Glass Build or these other events because people have continued to say not only have they come home with a sale, but they've also come home with multiple leads that they find quality and are excited about the potential and follow-up that will come. Invest in going to GFAB. For instance, coming up with GFAB, if someone registers for the executive track, you get a free workshop track ticket. So that is registration that is completely waived for a second person in your company that would apply for a workshop track. Glass Build Trade Show Pass is free for NGA members. So we're trying to make the entry easy and accessible, and we want you to be able to test it out and see if it's for you.
Yes. And, I'm always excited about getting involved because this is where your influence really comes into play. It's not where membership is, just something you have. It's also something you can do. So you can influence the codes and standards that govern our work, and you can build your own professional brand by contributing your expertise, and you can be the person who shows up for the next generation the way someone showed up for you. And to me, that's not a membership benefit, that's a legacy. And yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or commentary they'd like to share? You're welcome to put it in the chat, or if you raise your hand, we'd be glad to take you off mute. Hopefully this is an accessible webinar so we can have a conversation as well. And there'll be another one of these breaks coming up soon if nothing is coming to mind right this second. All right. Well, let's move on to your competitive advantage.
All right. So kind of leading it off here, we have technical manuals that would cost thousands free, a codes and standards help center that replaces a consultant included, real-time legislation tracking so you're not caught off guard, it's built in, and 70 plus training courses through My Glass Class that solve one of the hardest problems in our industry, which is keeping good people. The reality is, we're not just competing against other companies for talent, we're competing against every trade out there. Electrical, HVAC, plumbing, everybody's fishing in the same pool. And having a training library that's ready to go on someone's first day, it tells that this is a company that invests in me and this industry is a path for me. And that's not just a membership perk, that's a competitive advantage.
And NGA is also forming ties with parallel groups and industries, including the American Subcontractors Association and the American Institute of Architects. So NGA and ASA regularly share resources, and NGA members are typically invited to ASA webinars that are dedicated to their members only. And we also have access to a selection of their most popular resources, again, for members only to download in the store. And then again, with the AIA, NGA is actually an AIA registered provider. And internally, with our member volunteer task groups, we've developed over 13 presentations that are able to use for members. So it's members creating resources for members, which is how we thrive. Because members in the industry need to get in front of the design community, but may not have the internal capability to make the presentations, or looking for something that's a little more brand agnostic. NGA has these materials. You as a member company just need to make those lunch and learn meetings happen, and then that expands your network and your connections. And NGA's provided the technical background that just allows you the space within the presentation to expand on your experience and your real world stories that apply to that content. And then at the end of the day, NGA just processes the credit and does the paperwork for you. So this is a very underutilized benefit that we want to continue to promote. And on that note, we have another one under development now on circularity in the industry. So we'll soon be at least 14 presentations on a wide range of topics, all in effort to get you, the NGA member, out in front of the design community sooner in the process, most importantly. So to consider your NGA return on value, as I'm calling it, more than return on investment. But we've touched on a variety of these things already, so we just thought we'd put some dollar values on screen to help quantify what you have access to upon joining. Again, the My Glass Class training is nearly $5,000 in individual course value right off the bat. The technical manuals and downloadable publications, depending on what you need, could save you between $150 to $1,500. And again, this is one download that that you can make today that then you can share within your entire company. So Mel mentioned we have 1,900 member companies, but that doesn't even touch the thousands of individuals within those companies that we are trying to reach. Um, so all of these resources are not just for you, but think broadly in terms of who can benefit from these that we at NGA may not get to see every day. Mel mentioned the Codes and Standards Help Center access. Think of hiring an internal consultant on your own. Um, that could save you probably at least $150,000 a year that NGA can help provide you some of those answers, particularly when it comes to, um, again, the codes and standards, the dry material that they digest for us. And then we have the World of Glass Map database. The World of Glass Map itself is available to the entire industry, but to members only. There's access to a sortable, searchable, and downloadable database of the contact information of each of those companies featured on the map. So we hope that it is our intention that, upon members joining, there is a plethora of resources available to them immediately that will benefit you even before you attend a single event. And speaking of another hidden gem, our workforce development programs. These items are directly impact our industry's number one pain point in talent, as Mel mentioned earlier. So a few resources we have that we'd love for you to look at. The Career Fair Recruitment Toolkit. This is a free downloadable guide. It does have some purchasable giveaways with it, like stickers and postcards, but purely to raise awareness of glass and glazing as a career among young people, thinking specifically, high school career fairs here. So it talks through how to set up your booth, student engagement activities, time and cost of planning, and even post-event resources like sample email thank yous to the students and the school counselors. It also has text on Become a Glazer that showcases glazers on the job. So it explains the salary potential and job opportunities, which could be a great takeaway for students as they're pondering what's next for them. The new hire onboarding toolkit again covers the full onboarding journey. There's downloadable resources and checklists like reference forms, what to do with a new hire, an internal evaluation form, and even a sample 30, 60, 90 onboarding plan that you can customize to your own needs. And then there's also a Department of Labor approved apprenticeship pathway, which Mel is going to go into greater detail about.
Yeah, so apprenticeship, the data consistently shows that employees with apprenticeship programs, I'm sorry, employers with apprenticeship programs see stronger recruiting and better retention. And workforce pipeline organizations want to partner with companies that offer a real career path, not just a paycheck. So NGA doesn't run your apprenticeship program for you because it's your program built around your business, but we do give you the curriculum, excuse me, the DOL framework and the map of existing programs and the guidance to get it stood up. So we equip you and you build it.
Awesome. Well, we'll take a quick moment to pause for any questions or comments. Again, feel free to raise your hand if you want to just speak out loud and even communicate with your other participants. We have a couple comments that have come in. Let's see. Well, Sam Olson, thank you for your comment on it's hard to know it all in an ever-changing industry. So, yes, feel free to tap into us, and I hope when we need to tap into you for subject matter expertise, that this relationship ideally goes both ways to benefit the industry as a whole. Um, Jennifer, where do the AICE presentations live? And if you have one, could you include that to share with other members? Um, I appreciate that offer too. To answer the first question, the presentations live on the members only site. And the easiest way I can propose pointing you there is by going to the NGA hub, which I'll put a link to that in the chat now for everyone. But there's a sidebar of that web page that says Get More as a member, and AIA presentations is a link there. So that's where we have the abstracts of those presentations. AIA does require a speaker agreement be filled out for every approved speaker. So that is the preliminary step, is filling out that form and then letting us know which of the presentations you're interested in using, knowing they range from tempering to decorative to coated glass to dynamic glazing, bird friendly, thermal bridging. Like there's a host of different topics. So you let us know what you're interested in having access to, and then we have special folders that include the PowerPoint presentation, a sign-in form, an evaluation sheet, a speaker script, all to help you get started quickly with those. When it comes to sharing what you already have, we have a couple different ways we could do that on our architect resources webpage, which I will also go ahead and post in and this is a public web page, but at the very bottom, we have links to other partners, I guess. And by that, I mean members who have AIA presentations or content. We're working on building that out. This is a relatively new section, so there's only 2 companies listed here right now. But this is meant to be kind of a swap, so to speak. If you're able to put NGA's link to this page, its architect resource page on your website where that presentation lives, we'll do the same for you on this page. All in effort just to get more out there in general. Our presentations otherwise are built by task group kind of consensus building. So we can definitely use that as a starting point. And then, the advocacy and technical department could review it and work through that with you. So if that's of interest, I'll pass your email on to them, Jennifer. Great. No, but we appreciate the comments and questions so far. We'll move on to the next section, and then we'll have one more opportunity for this before we wrap up. So feel free to keep sharing your ideas. So now the opportunity to be the voice in the room. This is honestly this is that third tier and the pillar that Mel mentioned earlier. This is where your involvement and your influence come into play. And truly and literally your vote come into play. As an NGA member, you have a vote on a lot of different things. So legislative advocacy is one area we're getting more involved in. We do have a tracker, a legislation tracker available. And I think this May, we're hosting May 13th and 14th, our 4th annual Glass and Glazing Advocacy Days. And this is an exclusive opportunity for members to come to DC, hear from congressional representatives on different issues, usually ideally that are in line with NGA's legislative priorities, or help inform that and give updates on that. Our priorities stem around the economy, the workforce, and human health and safety. And then there's the opportunity to make personal visits on the Hill with your state representatives there. So it's a day of education and connection and a day of visits. And this is obviously with people who know much less about glass, but who are advocating for our behalf. So they're very important people to inform. And this is obviously our 4th time doing it. But more and more attention will be put in this direction in effort to impact legislation in addition to the building codes and standards we spend a lot of time on. Speaking of building codes and standards, I specifically wanted to highlight NGA's Glazing Industry Code Committee. This is about as close as you can get to being actively involved in the building code hearings without actually having to be there. It's an intimate group of about 25 member companies who are interested in having conversations with our structural, fire safety, and energy code consultants. Um, and it's how those conversations shape future editions of the International Building Code. So actual language, tolerances, thicknesses, glass makeups, and more. So the votes that happen in that room as it impacts glass, say that those votes happened a couple of years ago. That's how they're now showing up in the International Building Code version you're using today. So that's a cool and honestly very quiet, another underutilized benefit of the NGA that can have a large impact um, in how glass is specified. And then sustainability leadership. A few years ago, NGA hired Georgia Ayler. She is now she's an engineer, but she's also our dedicated staff person within the advocacy and technical department, solely focused on sustainability issues. So I wanted to highlight that. And just a couple of updates. I mentioned the task group addressing a new presentation for AIA credit on circularity. So that is something, if that's important to you or anyone else in your company, reach out and that's a great way to get involved. And just other updates in general, NGA just signed an industry-wide letter of support for continued funding for Energy Star. And then in September, two of our team members in the advocacy and technical department are giving a presentation at Facade Tectonics on industry-led sustainability initiatives in architectural glass. So there's representation out there continuing to try to educate thanks to your support and your funding through your membership.
And just some notes on credibility. Again, I've had the unique experience to not only be on the inside with NGA staff now too, but also before working at Bringglass, all those years. I really believe in what I'm talking about here. So NGA membership, to me, it signals to customers, to partners, and architects that your company is invested in the standards of the trade. The member directory, it puts you in front of people actively searching for qualified glass professionals. And if you're not in it, then you're invisible to them. In the AIA approved CE presentations, they give you direct access to architects who specify your products. So you're not cold calling, you're educating, and that's a different conversation entirely.
I think that's a terrific point, Mel, and definitely changes how you approach your outreach.
So yeah, so just to walk away with some places to start after this webinar, you can go to your member dashboard and download the free resources, the manuals, benchmarking reports, safety bulletins. They're already paid for. They're very helpful. And get your team onto My Glass class. 70 plus courses free, available anytime, and also get to an NGA event, Glassfield, GFAB, BC. That's where the relationships we've been talking about happen as well. So.
Mhm. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things regarding membership. First is to promote it, please and be proud of it. It's an investment that you're making and it impacts other people when they see, you find value in the investment you're making. So, let people know that you're a member. Point them to us if there are any questions that you can't answer. But I think in most cases, grassroots referral, the friend of a friend, that is an important and genuine um, opportunity for growth and bringing along people that would benefit. And then another one, assign a membership champion. Mentioned earlier, we have 1,900 members, but there are thousands of employees within those companies. So we rely on you or our main point of contact in our system to share the word internally to make sure that you and your company are getting the best value. Um, so if you get newsletters, please forward them, and hopefully that champion can develop a system to keep the different benefits in front of the people that can use them. And finally, we have 6 things up here, but these are just ideas for starting points, and we hope that you'll just pick one and maybe try to do that by the end of the month would be our challenge to you. Um, let's see. So a couple other things that have come in. Um, the uh, the NGA member directory. The public directory does not include names, I think, just for privacy purposes. Um, And I think that's also the way we handle our events. A lot of people are interested in lists for registered attendees. So for privacy purposes, what NGA does to the public is just provides the company contact information. Once you're a member, or once you're registered for an event, that information should be more visible on the back end. Um, but I will double check that and confirm if that's different. Um, in promoting your membership, does NGA provide logos or graphics? Um, I do know that we have, and that is something that we're working on building out further, a formal membership marketing kit. When a new member joins and when a member renews, you'll get a mailed packet. You'll get the decal for windows for brick and mortar storefronts. But we do want to make sure we get the proper material out for you to promote it digitally on LinkedIn on your website. So I think that has been distributed in the past, and we are working to make that easier and more robust to do moving forward, even with template emails and template posts to help you get started. Um, so with that, just to wrap up, again, we're all involved in making membership valuable. So we don't want this to feel like a one-sided, transaction. We want this to be a mutually beneficial relationship. Um, and, helping make the NGA the community you're seeking is also part of your role as a member. And NGA wants to do all we can to make this a valuable investment for you as well.
Yeah, and use your connections to make introductions, invite people to join you, make a recommendation. I know for sure that without people taking time to show me the way or spend a little extra time with me to learn something, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think that's what also excites me is bringing all of us together to help each other out. So the
Mhm.
industry gave me a career, but the people in it gave me a community, and that started with showing up. So thank you all for showing up today.
Agreed. If you're not a member and considering it, I'd love to have a follow-up with you. We want to have you as a member for life, but we also just really want the opportunity to meet with you in the beginning and take that first step. And did want to share there was our emails if you want to follow up. We also have an association services team that does a lot of work to make sure our members stay connected and are getting what they need out of their event registrations, and their other resources. So if Mel and I don't answer quickly, which we will definitely try to do, but know there's membership@glass.org reaches multiple people in our department who can also help you. Um, so with that, we thank you very much for attending today. Um, Mel, thank you for your anecdotes,
Yeah,
particularly coming from the industry. You have a very special perspective to share.
thank you.
And otherwise, we hope to see you actually later this month on the 30th. Stop losing money on the tempering line. This will give you a peek at the newest My Glass Class training curriculum specifically for tempering personnel. With that, we hope you have a great afternoon and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
Bye.